English major, so I gotta remind myself of the alphabet.
You gotta remember the basics, you know. All right, so I am Alyssa, and I'm a sophomore at Boston University, and um, I don't know. I guess I don't really have. I've been friends with Michael. I've been blessed to be friends with Michael for like 4 years.
Four now, yeah.
We're the OG core forever.
Almost four exactly, because camps would be in August, so we got what,
I know. Yeah, so it's been a
2 months
while,
for our
but
4 year anniversary.
feels like no time has passed at all. We're just
Okay, so first question: what does it mean to you to value life?
I feel like valuing life pretty much just means knowing that everything you have is like a gift almost, like every minute, everything you have to do, like even if it's homework, even if it's like working out, even if it's chores, even if it's like whatever it is, it's like knowing that it's not just for nothing. It's not just like some mundane task. It's something that if you try to like look at it as an opportunity to grow your mind or your body or just anything, you can use like valuing life is kind of just like looking at those little moments and trying to make the most of them rather than like just kind of going about your day, like going through the motions, I guess.
Right. So what I heard in that answer is a few things like chores or homework. So not as much of the fun things still valuing.
Yeah, right. So like if I was only, especially like in a time when you're in quarantine, if I only like found value in my days, if I was like hanging out with friends or going to the beach or like a lot of the stuff that I used to like think made my days like good, then right now I'd be having a tough time. But like instead, like it can't always be all those good things. So trying to look at like those little, like even like this, not stupid stuff, but the stuff you don't really want to do, and like trying to make that like fruitful, I guess, or like edifying is like how you can add value to like every day, even if it's not like your ideal day, I guess.
Mhm. Makes sense. So you mentioned friends too in that answer.
Mm.
You talked about just going to the beach with friends, but just along the topic with other people, where do you think other people come into the sense of valuing life?
Well, I think it's important to have friends who like challenge you to value your life more. So like you and like so many of our friends just from like Resurrection and all these places, right? Like I feel like having friends who share that same mindset of like always trying to grow and trying to like appreciate life rather than having friends who like are just content like staying where they are, like trying to make those friendships that like help you to be a better version of yourself is so important. So I think friendship is like a big part of it because like if I was just on my own, I might not stop and like think about these questions about like how I value life, or I might just kind of fall into like this little rut and feel like isolated. But having my friends to be there to reach out to like helps me to stay focused and to like keep striving to add value to all my life.
So it's kind of like an accountability thing almost.
Yeah, totally. I think the accountability is like a really, really big part.
We've noticed that especially over quarantine with all these little groups that are like forming a lot of people
Yeah.
accountability and support, because when people feel alone is when they tend to either thrive or really become low, and
Mm.
avoiding that risk is always a good thing. So if you know yourself enough that you um, need people in your life to pull you out of that, then yes, it's always, I agree that valuing life is valuing the people around you, and you are able to value it more when people are giving you so many reasons to believe so, and allowing you to push yourself, because that's another thing is like being able to push yourself really allows us to experience the beauty of life, because
Totally.
yeah, you can't experience the highs of life without experiencing the lows first, and like everyone has growing pains, so I agree with that.
Mm. Yeah, I feel like, and you kind of said like people in times like this, like they can either kind of like fall in on themselves or they can like come out stronger. And like I feel like my natural tendency almost is to sometimes like kind of shrink in. Like if I have a lot of responsibilities or something, I kind of like try to just like disassociate from it all and just like kind of pull in. But having like even the fact that I have like Zoom classes, like I have to show up, like you know what I mean? I have to like be able to give them some work, like or is in regards to like prayer, like I know I have this like quad, so I know that I have to like stay rooted in that aspect. I know like just different things like that. If I know my friends are all going to be like, Jill has been texting us being like, oh, we should try to climb like 20 flights of stairs today, like, and then every day go up a flight, like, you know what I mean, knowing that like she's probably gonna be like, oh, did you do that today, like it's gonna hold me more accountable. So like I think that the friends like totally have helped, especially in this time of like, in general they always help push me to be better, but especially right now when like it's so easy, I could just stay in my house and kind of just disconnect, you know. So
So that's encompassing as a whole how you believe one is to value life. Now, looking in your own personal life, whether that be from the past, present, where you want to go in terms of how you value your own life, where do you see yourself throughout your days of not only valuing life, but struggling to value it as well, and having the difficult times to remember these questions to push you to grow and appreciate that what you have?
I think that I've definitely come a long way in terms of like how I value life. Like I think that there was a long period in my life where I kind of just went through the motions, and even times where I thought like I had kind of overcome that. You know what I mean? Like times where I'm like, oh, like I have lived my life with so much more value. I have these great morals now. I have these just a better understanding of who I am. Like I still feel like in those times, like even like looking back last year at college, like I wasn't necessarily valuing my life. I was kind of just going through the motions, and I think that it's something that like I can always be growing in. Like I think even right now, obviously there are days where I look back, I'm like literally yesterday, my mom was like, how much homework did you do today? And I was like, not enough. Like, you know what I mean? I definitely didn't use every minute that I have. And I think that the days that I do find myself like valuing my life are the days where I like wake up early, like the days that I get up early and I like just start that day right off with that right mindset of like, I'm not going to sleep in today. I'm going to take control of that first thing. And then I'm going to be able to take control of like so many other things. I think that that has helped me to value my life more. But I think that there are definitely days that I still struggle and I am not exactly obviously where I want to be at. And I think that I could like keep using like my friends, keep using like the different opportunities that I have, like all this new time that I have that usually I'd be wasting doing whatever, like just running around. Now that I have this time for my own, I can really use that to try to value my life more, to try to get more out of every minute and to try to like really prioritize what I need to do.
Right. I hear a lot of um, action is what sort of sparks the idea or the ability to value your life. So I know a lot of people would, for example, say there are terms of valuing life is how they think of what's around them, how they think of what they've been given, how they all within the mindset. What I'm noticing from you is that that mindset is always brought up, not always, is often brought about by your ability to complete certain daily tasks in order to help you grow. So I just find it interesting that for you, valuing life is something that's easier to do when you're basically on top of your game and when when you're involved in action, when you're, productive and you actually decide to do something about it. So it's almost like you can't appreciate life without celebrating it.
Yeah, like I'm very like even like in general, I'm very like list orientated. Like I'm very like write it down and then do it. Like I don't like otherwise I kind of just go through the motion. So even just like making those actions start to happen is like how I feel like in my mind that I've like accomplished something. So if my goal is to try to value my life more, like I have to be doing things to kind of make myself feel like well, even like, and I'm not saying like it has to like we talked about this in the beginning where like I like can't necessarily like go hang out with friends. I can't go to the beach. I can't go do whatever. I can't go volunteer. I can't do whatever it is that I used to like to do that like kind of made me feel like I was valuing my life. But just noticing like those things that I can do every day, like making my bed, waking up, making my bed, and then praying, and then making myself breakfast. Like those things make me feel like I'm valuing life rather than just going through the motions. Like
Mhm.
having a sense of control over what my day looks like helps me feel like I'm really valuing it,
Mhm.
valuing them.
Right. And the routine and lack of complacency is what allows you to celebrate what we've been given as a whole,
Mm.
especially in
Yeah.
like difficult times like this. Like I noticed for myself personally, and I know this isn't similar to everyone,
Mm.
but I could never just like live in Hawaii. I went to Hawaii. I went to Hawaii with my family. After I graduated high school, and it was a family
Mhm.
reunion. It was definitely the best week of my life. Like thus far, this is the best week of my life.
Yeah.
but I would not do that for the rest of my life, because it was, for lack of a better phrase to begin with, too good.
Mhm.
Because it encompasses everything. We went to mass, we hung out with family, we were in Disney, we experienced how beautiful Thailand was. The temperature was perfect. We swam, we did all these activities, we shopped, we tourists, like we did everything that you could imagine. We played basketball, we worked out, like everything,
The
everything,
dream Michael Boucher day.
everything was perfect, but
Mhm.
it was it served more as like a reward. And
Right.
of course, I feel like we need those moments of rest, reward, fun times to be able to value the good things in our life.
Hmm.
But definitely someone similar to you in the sense that complacency is what hinders my ability to not just value my life, but be motivated about life in general too, and be proactive in my life. So I'm with you on that. A lot of people, there's a lot of different sides to it, right? Like some
Right.
people, it's like they very difficult for them to value life in times like these. But for us, it's like when we when times like these bring out the best in us, it's easier for us to value life because our life is um, it's more shown in terms of its quality based on the actions that we do, not necessarily the good that happens to us or in our life.
Right. Yeah, it's not something that just like these things happen and then it's like, oh, I have a good life because like this and this lined up. But like it's recognizing that you can still have a good life in times where like things don't necessarily seem as good as like it wouldn't be like your ideal day. You know what I mean? It's still recognizing that when you choose to have that mindset of like, okay, this is like I'm in control still. Like I still have things that I can't control. I can't necessarily control like that I can't go outside right now. I can't control that like school's online. I can't control these things, but recognizing that like you can control if you do your work. You can control if you get up on time and if you just have order in your day. Like those things you can control and you can still build for yourself like a good life. You know what I mean? So
Exactly. So talking about more along those lines of less about what we've been given and more about how we act and think.
mm,
I know that you went on a mission trip to Mexico. I was there too. What
yes.
do you notice about the people there who have materialistically much less than we have, who have situationally much worse things happening around them and to them than we do?
Mm,
Yet nearly all of them that we met were happy.
yeah. I think honestly like I thought about them a lot in the very very beginning of quarantine. I thought like especially like this is going to sound like kind of weird but in terms of faith, like I remember there was one like we would go to the ranchos every night, like so these little like villages, and I remember that they hadn't received like the opportunity even to go to mass in like 8 months at one of the places we went, and I was like wow. And like it reminded me like even then I remember thinking like I was annoyed kind of to have to go to another mass because I was like I've been to like two today, I don't want to go to and like I know looking back like I remember not even looking back like after those masses I'd be like I would see just their joy at the fact that they finally had this opportunity and I'd be like wow, like, and I'd be so humbled. And then when I found out that we couldn't go to mass anymore and like for the foreseeable future really like when I found out that like I don't know the next time that I'll be able to get Holy Communion, I don't know the next time I'll be able to just like actually go to a mass. Like I can still pray, but I can't actually go to a mass. I like felt so much solitude with them, but I saw that they were still joyful. Like even though they hadn't received mass, like those days where we didn't have a priest with us in Mexico, they would still just be singing and praising God and like playing soccer and like they would try to give us their food. Like they would like they had this big party for us. Like they gave us dinner and I was like, what? Like that doesn't even make sense. And like so noticing that even when they were in that period of like drought, they were still choosing to give to people, to give from like what little they had to um, just kind of like make every day happy and like almost like have a party. Like they had really no reason to celebrate. It was just like I think like a weekday, you know what I mean? But they were like having a party, making the most of it with like their neighbors and like really connecting with the people closest to them. Like I kind of have tried to remember them as I'm experiencing my own little bit of drought where I can't go to mass. I don't have that larger community that I'm used to. I can still try to like make every day like important, you know what I mean? I can still look for like those little ways to like choose to be happy and choose to like still pray, to still be with my family, to enjoy family dinners with just us that we usually might not have gotten to have. So
Right.
definitely I think about Mexico at this time and how they're always so joyful how I could strive for that.
Yeah, and also I feel like within that example, a lot of gratitude and you mentioned humility, like being humbled. How do you think those
Yeah.
how do you think those qualities affect you personally in terms of valuing life, but also valuing life as a whole? Like, how does it affect how we look at the world, how we look at our lives?
I feel like, especially in like a place where we're like as lucky to like we grew up in a really secure part of the world. We grew up in like the South Shore of Massachusetts.
Oh, yeah.
Like you can't get more secure than that, really. And I feel like for a lot of people around us, like we always feel so in control. And it's probably taken it's like I think just in general, like we've been humbled a lot as a society because like we can think like, oh, we will always have it's kind of like this idea that like we're always going after it and we're attaining for ourselves like all these things like we're building for ourselves this good life we are and we're doing that by like going to school, by getting a good job, by getting a good salary, by getting a good house, by getting our kids in the best school, by playing all these sports, like all these things where like we've kind of been humbled to see that like our life isn't any more special. Like all these things can be taken away from us. Like just like the people in these places where we've gone on mission trips, like in Mexico, like in Haiti, like in all these other countries that we tend to think of as being like less fortunate. Like we've kind of been humbled to see that we at the end of the day have nothing more than they do. Like we can lose that just as much as they can. So I don't know. I feel like humility has been a big part of it because we see like all those things can be taken away from us, all those things that we might like try to say our life has value based upon how much of these things we have, how much money, how much wealth, how much, I don't know, like popularity, how many vacations, whatever it is. And then it kind of, whether we wanted to or not, I feel like we've kind of been humbled to be like, okay, those things actually aren't as important as I thought they are. And I'm not in control of it in the first place. Like no matter how many of these things I try to build for myself, like they can be taken away. And then if I'm not grounded, if I'm not rooted, then I'm left with nothing. And, you know, like I feel like it's taken humility to see that we really are not any different from the people in Haiti or in Mexico. Like we're at the same level playing field, I guess, as they are.
Right. And how quickly things can change too. So
Mm,
at the end of the day, if all of us, everything that we value in terms of the good things in our lives are taken away from us, how then can we value life if what we thought we valued isn't there anymore?
right. Like if what we put all our worth into is gone, then what, you know what I mean? Like what's left? We really, it's definitely.
Right. So worth has got to be placed a lot more. Value of life in general has to be placed in a lot more of just things that make us feel good.
Yeah, like it's not, it can't just be in like these objects. It has to be more in like how we build ourselves, how it's more in like your mindset, like what's within you rather than like what you surround yourself with, I guess, is like something that I've definitely noticed for myself and for like a lot of our friends like in this quarantine.
Right. And valuing life in general is a very broad topic in
Mm.
contrast with valuing your own life. And as you said, at the end of the day, how are we any different than people who have much less than us or much more than us?
Right,
The only correct answer to that is, as you said, our mindset that's based on our character. The only thing
right.
that's really different about us from other people is our character, in which case valuing life becomes a celebration based on how well you can build up your character to get to that point.
Yeah.
There is one more question that I have before I let you get to do all your activities that you need to get
Oh
to
yes.
places you need to be.
Oh yeah.
How has your life in particular, or someone else's, challenged you and made it more difficult for you to value your life or value life in general?
So what kind of challenges have I faced that make it difficult for me to value my life?
You can zoom in on a specific example that would help.
I don't know. Like, can you what would like you say to that answer? Because I don't really know how I would answer that. Like, I'm kind of.
There's a few examples you can go about. It's
Mhm.
bad. If I were to take a minor instance, it would be when I don't wake up to my 7 o'clock wake up. And
Okay.
when I sleep in a little bit, it makes it difficult for me to celebrate the rest of the day with gratitude, humility, productivity. In which case, the end of the day is like the mindset becomes, all right, I'll just fix everything tomorrow. Like I'm basically throwing the towel in on the day, and it's less about living from moment to moment. It lives from day to day, which is interesting when you think about it, because scheduling can also be counterproductive sometimes, because you have
Mm,
a whole day scheduled and something is thrown off, then you no longer value the day.
right.
I've noticed that I personally fail to value life when I think of it anything more than a moment to moment basis, or
Yeah.
simultaneously if I think of it any less than eternity. So
Mm,
my value of life is placed on where we're going to be going after we die.
yeah.
The way that I can focus on that is from moment to moment, not by day, not by week, not by year, not by
Right.
how much I've done, not by how much I have. But I've been challenged the most with being able to really live in the moment and taking in what's around me for good or for bad, for better or worse. That's been the most challenging part for me.
Right. Okay. So I think that like yeah, I would kind of agree with the moment to moment thing like and I kind of forget that that's how I should live my life sometimes like I'll think like oh I had a good day, I had a bad day. And like more often than not I'm able to look back like luckily and think like oh that was a good day. But sometimes I can get hard on myself if I like miss one step, right? So if I like didn't get as much homework done as I wanted to, I'm like, well this day was kind of I wasted it. And then I kind of like start to fall in this slump of just like, well, I wasted this day already, so I'm gonna stay on my phone, or I'm gonna stay up late now, or like this day was kind of a wash anyways. I'm just gonna make this day all about me and like just waste my time doing whatever it is I like to do. And then I guess like something that like I have to strive to remember that like it is moment to moment, that that is something to in order to get the most to add the most value to my life, to like really really live everything to the fullest extent that I can. I have to like um realize that it is minute to minute, and like those decisions like what I'm doing right now is going to shape what I do next, you know what I mean, like recognizing that like I have to get the most out of this very minute, because this very minute is like it's fleeting, I'm not going to get it back. So if I'm on my phone right now, then I'm not doing my homework, or I'm not spending time with my family, or I'm not doing whatever it is I need to get done for the day, then that's a minute lost. And like I need to try to like shape yeah, kind of like using each moment to get myself my future self like further and be able to help support myself in the next moment, if that makes sense. I feel like this time too has been like, because all we really have right now is time. Like you are noticing kind of what you do all day, where you are spending your time, right? Like you wake up and you just have hours to just think about like how you're using them, and then at the end of the day to look back and be like, how did I use that time? And so I've noticed like a lot of my habits right now, and I feel like this is a good time to really be building up
Mm-hmm.
those like habits that are going to make us better. Like I'm really able to notice like okay, like how late did I sleep, how late am I staying up, what do I naturally kind of fall into, and like how can I really like push myself to like change that, how can I like try to snap out of those habits that aren't that good, and like try to instead use that time to like improve myself and improve my character. So I feel like this time is like really a gift. Like it's really been kind of, I know that like I'm privileged that I can be a gift, but it's been really, really cool to see like how I've been able to try to use this time to grow myself, not just right now, but set these habits that'll help me grow even outside of this quarantine when like life goes back to normal. Yeah, who knows when that will be and what normal will look like. But
Yes. Alyssa, a virtual hug. And thank you so much for coming, Alyssa. Thank you for speaking, talking to everyone.
thank you, Michael. Always good to talk to you. Miss you, buddy.